Alright, here we go. Let's take a look at some updated, less lethal weapons. So, I made a video in the past with the X HDP50 in orange, obviously. I like that. Only 7.5 joules. Let's get a good look at that. So, the video I made in the past was quite a long time ago, over a year. So things have changed, and I want to kind of do an updated video. One thing that's changed, obviously, is they have a new generation of the HDP50. Are we focusing? Yeah, there we go. This is the Gen 2 HDP50. One of the big improvements is to the cap on the end. So the old generation had a cap with an Allen key hole in the middle. This does not have that, but as you can see, it is sort of square and it's easier to turn. This, especially if your hands are wet or you've got a little bit of that marker oil on your hands, this is actually a little bit painful to get off. I wrenched it on there hard. I might need the Allen key to get it off, and it kind of hurts. This one, no problem. This one is like made to be easier to take on and take off and put on, and it has an extra feature that this one doesn't have. You can, once you have it tightened, you can turn it counterclockwise and it will degas the gun. Similar to how the button in the back pops out when the gun is charged with CO2, and you can hit that button and it'll degas the gun. The only problem with that is if you have a full CO2 cartridge, it can be a little difficult to do that. If you need to degas a fully charged one, you haven't shot any shots, a little bit difficult there, but not bad. Also, the difference, I'll show you the box that it comes in. TP50, well, it has different names for some reason. It says TP50 Gen 2 on it. This one says T4E HDP50. But they are basically the same gun. The only big difference, besides the color, this one is rated at 13 joules. I've fired it and I've gotten, on my first couple of shots, pretty close to 15 joules out of it so far. So, yeah, nice little bump. And I like the fact that I didn't have to modify this one. I haven't modified these guns at all, other than putting some accessories on this one, which we're going to talk about next. Yeah, I'm going to fire these today and see what kind of results we get out of them. So a big change that's happened is, so when I made my original video, this did not exist. This is called the Pistelle X68 from Defense Innovations. If you can see that, I've got some accessories on there, just a light, and then the extended barrel, which is covered by a mock suppressor. It's not a real suppressor, it's just threaded on there. And I have some thoughts about that. One, I am able to see down the sights. Let's see if I can, just so you can't really see, but I'm able to see down the sights over the suppressor. So it's not a problem in that regard. It just threads on. I'm going to remove it here. You have to grab it kind of by this end. It's got a lot of threads. And this does nothing other than hide the barrel. There are no baffles in there. There's nothing in there. It's just a hollow tube. All it does is make this extended barrel look a little better. So you can run it without it. That's fine. It'll make no difference at all. So I went with the extended barrel because that's the best way to get a little extra power out of your launcher. It requires no work at all. These barrels are threaded for easy removal. So it just comes out as easy as that. The stock barrel does the same thing. Let me go get that. I've got the box here. I'll show you that as well. Here we go. Pistelle X68 Gen 2. Okay, made by NX Works Precision. Here's the box that you get packaged. Comes with a little instruction manual. And the cap would be in the box. And here's the stock barrel. It is aluminum. So if you want to shoot your aluminum balls, let's see if we can get this a little better focused. If you want to fire aluminum balls through these, which some people do, it can damage your barrel over time. So I'm not gonna do that, even though you can get those aluminum rounds quite cheaply. So maybe there will be this one is also aluminum. Maybe there will be an aftermarket steel barrel that comes out, and you can fire aluminum rounds to your heart's content. So here, let me just show you what it looks like with the stock barrel. So they made it so easy to change out barrels. So that's what she looks like with the stock barrel. Now, they advertise this launcher with the stock barrel as 35 to 50 joules. Okay. You put the extended barrel on, and I bought it as a kit with the extended barrel, and they advertise that as 50 plus joules. So that's that. You could not get a hand-sized device that put out that kind of power a year ago. So this is a big change. A lot of people are making videos about these. They seem to be quite popular right now. And also, just want to point out, the Gen 2, it comes with extra O-rings, some grease, a couple of Allen keys, and I don't know if you can see in there, there are two little, oh, that's taped shut. Okay, they don't want you to get in there. There are two round balls in there. Those are the detents. So what you do, this little port right here, you unscrew that, take that out, and there's a spring in there. And there's one on each side. And those are where your detents are. And what the detents do is they hold the rounds in place. So I'm gonna release the magazine. I'm gonna probably get 2 rounds out of there. So it's got a 6-round magazine, which is okay. What I want is a magazine that also holds the CO2 cartridge, so you could potentially swap out the CO2 and a magazine at the same time, which would make the grip even bigger than it already is. And it's a pretty big grip. Even, you know, I think even the biggest hands out there are going to have no problem with this grip. Really small hands, you know, it might not feel that great, but it's doable. It's totally doable. So the detents, you're not going to be able to see unless I shine a flashlight in there. And you're still probably not going to be able to see. But down in there, maybe you can see. You can see the detents. And what they do is they hold one round in place. So what you can do, actually, I'm going to put the short barrel on there for this. It's only a 6-round magazine, but kind of like a firearm, it can hold 6 plus 1. So one way to do that is to just drop a round in there before, whoops, there goes one round. That's another thing about this magazine. It's kind of like if you're familiar with the Byrna less lethal launchers, if you hit this spring-loaded arm right here, all your rounds are going to shoot out of that magazine. But there, so now there's one being held back by the detents, and then the rest of your rounds are in the magazine. I found that this little streamlight works quite well. And so far I've got really good impressions about this thing. It's an aluminum upper, and then from this line down, it's polymer, aka plastic, metal trigger with a trigger safety, magazine release right where you would expect it to be, no controls on the other side. I don't know if that's swappable. It kind of looks like it is. There's a screw in there. So I wonder if you could swap that out to the other side. I don't know. So what's my goal here? What am I looking at this pistol for, or this launcher? It's not a firearm. There's no gunpowder involved. And yes, I know firearms exist. I'll be covering some of those later. Some various firearms. I'm just keeping an eye on the less lethal space, because if there's something out there that can stop a threat without putting a hole in a person, I want to know. And I know tasers exist. I just, for home defense, I don't see a taser being the proper tool. I know pepper spray exists, but I'm sure as hell I'd get that in my own face. And speaking of pepper spray, one of the benefits of these launchers is that they can fire irritant rounds that have a powdered form of OC, or like a pepper spray type of irritant that would come out of the gun at a longer distance that you could get from a pepper spray, and you could deliver some irritant at a distance. I'm not messing with those. I'm sure I don't. I think that they might break up in this gun. The more powerful, I said gun again. It's not a gun. It's a marker. There's no gunpowder involved. It's CO2, and this also has the ability. This has the cap. I love this feature. That you can turn it counterclockwise. See how it just returns when I let go? And when you turn it like that, it'll degas your launcher. Great feature. Great feature. And I have no problem. This does not hurt at all, even though it is not grippy. There is very little texture to that. It's not grippy at all, but I find it really easy to take off. So, no gunpowder, CO2 powered. You can get your Crossmans, you can get your, these are from Modern Combat Sports within the OD green. Any kind of 12 gram CO2 cartridge will work, basically. I've used the Umarex branded ones. I've used the Crossmans. I haven't used the MCS ones yet. I'll get to that maybe today. One other thing I wanted to mention about the mock suppressor, and I said I was a little iffy on this. It comes in multiple parts. I don't understand why this wasn't one solid piece, but it comes apart. Not just from the back, but also the cap. Focus. So the cap and the rest of the body are two separate pieces. Oh, I think I've got it on there tight. Good, good, good. Yeah. It's on there tight. But when I got it out of the box, it was not very tight. And this cap has the threads in it. So if you just grab it by the body and try and focus now, there you go. So if you grab it by the body and try and twist it off, it might just loosen instead of coming off. So I always grab it up by the top to loosen it and take it off. But that's not something that I plan on doing often. I'm just doing it now as a demonstration purpose, but you know, I plan to leave the extended barrel on, get that extra power out of it for its free power. You know, it functions in a way like a firearm. It's expanding gas. The longer your projectile is behind that expanding gas, the faster it's going to come out of the barrel, generally speaking. So I'm going to use that extended barrel, mock suppressor, and this light. And also one of the features, so these caps apparently are interchangeable with the Umarex caps, which is interesting. But the way that these function, here, let's use up a CO2. Let's just demonstrate. So they go in backwards from what you might expect from like a BB gun, pellet gun, something like that. They go in kind of backwards. And what you do is you put a little bit of oil, marker oil. Do I have any here? I don't know where I put mine. So I'll do that next time. But it's quite easy to operate. Let's make sure we get this on there. I don't want to double thread it. So I'm going to go like that. Come on now. There we go. There we go. Get that on there tight. And just like, so you can store it like this. You can store it loaded with your rounds, loaded with the CO2, and you can keep it in a drawer and not worry about it. It'll be ready to go when you need it. Now to operate, to charge it with CO2, you smack this cap. You can bang it on a table, you can smack it with your palm, you can do whatever. So let's do that now. Okay, this is a charged and loaded firearm. It's not a firearm. I keep saying firearm. It's not a firearm. So let's get these rounds out of there. So it is charged with CO2. It's quite loud. I'm not going to fire it indoors right now. Hello, camera. Focus. Focus. Thank you. Now, let's demonstrate. This is going to be a little bit loud. Let's demonstrate the degassing. I'm going to turn it just a quarter turn counterclockwise. There you go. It gets nice and it's very cold now. CO2, it really brings down the temperature, which is not always good, because, well, one thing you don't want to do is smack that cap, charge it with CO2, and then put it in your drawer, because that will damage the O-rings if you leave it charged with CO2. And this goes for just about every less lethal device that I know of. You don't want to leave it charged with CO2, because if you come back 2, 3, 4 hours later, or a day later, or 2 days later, or a week later, all that gas is going to have leaked out, and you might have a broken O-ring in here somewhere. And you're going to have to take the thing apart and replace some O-rings. So that's how you... Let's take it all the way off. Make sure all that gas is out of there. Take the CO2 out. So I didn't have any leaks or anything. This is really cold to the touch now, which is common, very common. CO2 does not like, well, these launchers don't like cold temperatures. If your CO2 cartridge gets really cold, your joules, the power of the projectile coming out will be a little bit lower, as far as I understand. I'm not an expert in these, obviously. I'm learning. But I'm quite excited to try out the Pistelle 68. And I'm also going to try out the HDP50 Gen 2. So let's go out to the garage. Here we go. Set up out in the garage with a 1/2-inch piece of plywood. I'm going to try first with the HDP50 Gen 2 13 joules. Load it up with blue plastic balls. I'm not sure what the weight of them is. I didn't measure, but I've been shot by those blue balls before. They hurt a lot. So we're going to do a little slow-mo also. Let's go slow motion. Now I fully expect these to bounce. These will bounce. It's not going to penetrate this plywood, but I'm going to compare the HDP50 versus the Pistelle X68. See what happens. All right, not bad. Left a little divot in that board. Honestly, it did a little bit more than I was expecting. And it did bounce back, hit me right in the armpit. So there you go. That's the HDP50 13 joules. Now, it wouldn't be one of my videos if I didn't try it on a soft target. A soft target meaning our ballistic pig, our favorite. Now, we got to do slow-mo on the ballistic pig, so let's set that up, and here we go. So here's our soft target, our ballistic pig. The only damage, right there. That's all. So just for fun, I took another shot at it. Did significantly more damage. This must have been a glancing shot. Here it punctured the skin and let some of the sand out. You see that? Okay, I feel for you, man. This little pig, he's gonna get blown apart, I think, by that X68. Let's see. All right, now it's time for the Pistelle X68 extended barrel, loaded with Grimberg joules. They're roughly 8 grams. the Grimberg Jewel. It's a very popular but expensive type of ammunition you can get from Grimberg.com, I think it is. JUL. These, I got them on sale. They were still quite expensive. So I'm just going to use them for this video, and perhaps if a self-defense situation were to occur, maybe that's the ammunition I'd use. Let's get the slow-mo going. Alright, now let's see what this does to a 1/2 inch piece of plywood. Well, that was dramatic. All right, let's see what we got. Oh boy. There's a fairly clean hole and kind of a dirty exit hole. You can see that's a 1/2 inch piece of plywood. I've got it backed by a 1/4 or a 3/4 inch piece of plywood. I don't think it would go through the 3/4. Should I try? I don't know. But next, let's try a soft target. Pistelle X68 Grimberg Jewels and the Ballistic Pig. Let's see what happens. Shooting from short range, getting lots of velocity. Interesting. Interesting. So it appears that it penetrated the Ballistic Pig, made another hole in it, and then it did not come out the back. So it did not penetrate that rubber skin plus maybe 3.5 or 4 inches of sand. Interesting. Let's try something else. Now, I'm going to file this under do not try this one at home. So now my target is going to be a piece of thin steel. This is actually part of an old computer case is what it is. As you can see, I've shot it a few times with the most powerful launchers that I had before I got the X68. You can see, so this is a 68 caliber running about 40 joules. It made kind of a big lump out of my 25 joule HDR50. I got what looks like it kind of wanted to penetrate a little bit, but didn't. Here's that's from a shaped projectile from the HDR50 with the metal BB in the front. You can see how you can see the shape of the projectile. It kind of imprinted the shape of that in there. And that one really looked like it wanted to penetrate. These 68 calibers, I don't think they're going to penetrate, but I want to compare what I had to what I have now, so that's what we're going to do. So here we go. Pistelle X68 again. Pistelle X68. Firing at sheet steel. Gonna back up a little bit for this one. It is at an angle, so hopefully it'll bounce slightly upward, right into my face. Okay, here we go. So let's take a look at that. So this is the impact right here that I just made compared to this one, which is much less deep. This one, oh yeah, it pushed the metal farther than any of these other impacts. It pushed the metal farther in. It's more similar to the smaller projectiles. God, that would hurt. Jesus. Alright, here we go. Pistelle X68 extended barrel, mock suppressor, 3/4 inch plywood. Now what I expect, I do not expect this to penetrate the way it did the 1/2 inch plywood, but they might stick. That's kind of what I'm expecting. Let's find out. Dramatic. Holy crap. Let's stop that. Let's take a look at the damage. Okay. Let's take a look at what happened. So, obviously I fired 3 rounds. 2 of them stuck. One of them, I think it went in and bounced out. But let's take a look at the back. So they wanted to penetrate. They really did. And in fact, you can see there's the round. It didn't bounce out. It nearly penetrated. 3/4 inch plywood. And it did that kind of damage. Do you want to get hit by that? I don't. Now I've been shot by the lower jewel launchers before, like the HDP50 and even my 25 jewel HDR50. I will not be firing Grimberg jewels at a human target or have them fired at me, because that just seems like a whole lot of hurt. Another thing I wanted to mention before I stop filming is I didn't do any chronograph readings with my X-Radar little chronograph dealie. So let's do that. I put a fresh CO2 cartridge in. You get the most power from a fresh CO2 cartridge in your first 1, 2, maybe 3 shots. Those will be your most powerful. So I've got a fresh CO2 cartridge in there. I'm going to pick on our ballistic pig and I'm going to take a reading. That says 430. So out of an 8-gram projectile, I'll have to calculate the joules and I'll put that up on screen for you. Let's do it again. $396 on the second round. Alright, that's quite a drop. My phone still has battery. Here we go. Pistelle X68, extended barrel again. This will be the third shot from a fresh CO2 cartridge. It went up a little bit, 410. Fourth shot. Down a little bit, 394. Yes, I am. Give me my jewels. I want my jewels. I want my jewels back. All right, drastic measures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and she's done. Thank you, Mr. Pig. Ballistic Pig.